Hi, I'm Anna.
And I'm Joey.
Today, we're going to talk about school safety and threat assessment and what you can do to help keep your school safe. We want to prevent all forms of violence at school. This includes shootings as well as fighting and bullying. Overall, schools are very safe places. The likelihood of a school shooting is low, but we want to make every reasonable effort to prevent violence. School shootings can be prevented. Almost all students who attacked their school made threats before the attacker told others about their intentions. Many school shootings have been prevented because a student's threat was reported, investigated, and found to be serious. That's one reason why we have threat assessment teams.
So who are the members of the threat assessment team?
Your school's threat assessment team may include the principal or assistant principal, a law enforcement officer such as a school resource officer, and other staff members such as a counselor, psychologist, social worker, and teacher.
So what does a threat assessment team do?
A threat assessment team investigates threatening statements or actions by students to determine whether the threat is serious. If it is, the team will take action to prevent violence.
But most threats are not serious. Statements like, "I'm going to kill you," or "I want to blow this school up," could be serious or not serious depending on the situation. Schools don't want to overreact to threats that aren't serious.
That's why a careful threat assessment is needed. Most threats aren't serious, but sometimes they are. So the threat assessment team's job is to decide whether a threat is serious, and if it is serious, stop it from being carried out.
So when a threat assessment team determines a threat is serious, how does the school respond to the threat?
If a threat is serious, the school will look for the best way to solve the problem that led to the threat. Students are not automatically suspended or arrested for making a threat. In a very serious situation, a student might be suspended or transferred to a different school. Students have been arrested in some cases. If you threaten someone in a way that truly frightens them, it could be considered a crime. A threat that seems like a joke to you might be taken seriously by someone else. Students should avoid making threatening statements because they might be misunderstood. Making threats via email, text, or the internet can also be considered a crime. Some examples of threats that could result in your arrest and being charged with a felony are sending a text or email that says something such as, "I'm going to kill you for that," or posting something online such as, "It's time to blow up this school." So be careful what you text, email, or post. What should you do if you hear someone make a threat?
If you hear someone make a threat, you should consider whether you need to report it. There's no need to report a threat that is obviously a joke or isn't serious. However, if a threat is serious, you should report it immediately. How would you feel if someone were injured or killed because of this threat? Sometimes it's clear that a threat is not serious, and sometimes you just don't know. If you're not sure whether a threat is serious, the best thing to do is report it. The threat assessment team's job is to investigate the threat and decide whether it's serious or not.
So how should you report a possible threat?
You can report threats to a teacher, counselor, principal, assistant principal, or school resource officer. You could also tell your parents and let them contact the school. The most important thing is to let someone know there is a threat. Next, we'll show you a situation that could happen to you at your school. Your job is to decide how you would respond in this situation. Take a minute to watch the following video.
I'm gonna catch him in the cafeteria and take him out.
If a student brings a gun to school or talks seriously about killing someone, it should be reported immediately. Remember, school shootings have been prevented because a student reported a threat.
If a student is being picked on, bullied, or harassed, you should report that too. No one should stand by and let another person be abused. A threat assessment team will investigate and stop the situation before it gets worse.
Look, I'm worried that he really means it, but I don't want to be a snitch.
A snitch is somebody who tells on you to get something for himself. It's not snitching if you're trying to keep somebody from getting hurt.
Sometimes students don't want to report a threat because they think it's snitching, but there's a big difference between snitching and seeking help. Snitching is something you do for your own benefit, like if you were trying to get out of trouble. So if you report a threat, you're not snitching. You're trying to prevent somebody from being hurt. There are students who have prevented a shooting because they reported a threat, and they're not snitches.
How will you feel if he actually does it? What if he kills someone and you could have done something to stop it?
There have been many situations where a shooting was prevented, but in schools where shootings did occur, there were often students who decided not to say anything. They kept quiet and let it happen. Don't let that happen in your school.
I guess you're right. I don't want anybody getting killed if I could prevent it. Who do I talk to about this?
If you hear a threat and believe it could be serious, do the right thing. Talk to someone you trust, like a teacher, counselor, coach, principal, police officer, or your parents.
Okay, I don't know how to say this, but I'm kind of worried about Connor.
Oh, well, if you're worried about him, I want to know.
Well, see, he said he had a gun and he was going to shoot Evan in the cafeteria.
Oh, wow. Okay, you did the right thing by letting me know. I want to make sure I understand the situation. Tell me more about this.
Thank you for watching this presentation on school safety and threat assessment. If you have any questions or concerns, please speak with your school counselor.